It's that time of the week again, time for Nemesis 4.2. Quick recap, if you don't know what Nemesis is, Eugen lets us vote on 3 division pairs at once, and the one that wins gets added to the game. So these are 2 potential divisions. If you haven't seen the Nemesis 4.1, check it out in the description, or just read it for yourself on the store page. Yeah, so this one, it's better. Short story long, right? It's better. We're going to go through it in a bit more detail because it's actually not hilariously terrible like the other one. 4.1 really makes you think. So, yeah, basically, on the NATO side, you've got the West German 6th Panzergrenadier Division. And this one is all about... man, that sounds really annoying. I'm just going to take my headset off. You obviously have to put up with it. So, sorry about that. So, the 6th Panzergrenadier Division, they were supposed to be in the part that Denmark used to own, right? But, you know, well, in fact, do they even own it anymore? My geography is not great. If you can just give me a second. So, obviously, all the geography I know is that they're part of the EU Megastate 1, right? So, if we just go on Google Maps here, so... yeah, type in geography and didn't help very much. Okay, yeah, so the Germans own this part. Yeah, so I believe they took it off the Danes in like the second Schleswig-Holstein War or something. Second Schleswig-Holstein War. Here we go, I told you. I know my geography. It's the Second Schleswig War, right? So the Prussians and the Austrians ganged up on the poor Danes and they took part of Denmark. Yeah, they took Schleswig-Holstein. Wow, I'm actually so smart. I'm actually incredibly intelligent. So yeah, for some reason Germany still owns this, although of course it's all part of EU Megastate 1 now, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is the German area of control. And it's supposed to have its own command structure called AF North. And there were some thoughts in the community, will they do an AF North expansion after they finish Southag, after they add the Scandinavians? Sorry, it's not called AF North, that is the Norway. I'm just going to have to start the whole thing again. I'll just edit this part out. Hello and welcome to this discussion of Nemesis 4.2. This, for those of you who don't know, Nemesis is just Eugen give us 3 pairs of 2 divisions to vote for, and whichever one passes the vote, they make. So, if you want to check out 4.1, you could read it for yourself, or you could watch my video on the subject, and then I get money, so obviously doing that is better. So basically this one is a bit better than the last one. Essentially we've got NATO's West 6th German Panzergrenadier Division, and essentially I won't go too much into the geography of the area. I'm pretty well studied on this. I used to play a lot of a game called reading books. I read books a lot. I definitely didn't learn all this from Victoria 2 and EU4, but essentially this area is called Schleswig-Holstein, and it used to be part of Denmark, and then the bad guys took it off them, and they didn't give it back, but thankfully we live in a unified Europe now, and so it doesn't really matter which member state this part of land is in, because they've all got the same laws and they all do the same things. So basically people were thinking, like, would there be like a separate Landjut DLC? But in Northag, we got the 9th US Motorized, which would have been the cornerstone of that DLC. And now in this option, we have 6 Panzergrenadier, which would be another pretty big part of that hypothetical DLC. So I doubt we're going to get a proper Landjut expansion after they add Southag, and presumably they will add the Scandinavians after that, and people were wondering whether or not this would happen. So basically the NATO option is 6th Panzergrenadier, and yeah, we're not going to read the whole thing, you can just read it yourself, but we'll talk about the units and so on. So they talk about the fact that there's going to be Heimatschützen, because they've got a territorial army brigade that is apparently better. And they talk about a helicopter regiment with airlift and anti-tank capacities, so hopefully we'll see some airlifted infantry. And if it hasn't been incredibly obvious to you already, this is a West German division, right? And they also say, though not officially attached, but in our war scenario, they will. Schleswig-Holstein was home to many Bundesmarine facilities and local units. These would have provided welcome reinforcements in the field. So this is something I've got to give them credit for. So if we look at 4.1, 4.1 is like the most uninspired gutter trash you could imagine. It's like they do just like, oh, we need 3 options. Oh, okay, we'll just put that one out. Whereas this, they're willing to take some minor creative risks, which you've got to do if you want your divisions to be different, if you want new playstyles and so on. A bit more on that later. So basically it talks about, yeah, we've got airlift guys, we've got territorial guys, and we've got marines. So that's pretty cool already. And they talk about, logistics, so helicopter munition. New units are highlighted in bold and italic. UH-1D munition. I'm pretty sure that's in the game. They say it's new. I think maybe it's an American one. And, yeah, so, you know, if I click this, I get a small bonus. You gotta click this shiny rock. Sort of being blocked a bit by my backpack there, just trying to do some rotation. Anyway, it should have loaded by now. No, it hasn't. It was loading slower because I minimized it, so... You know, whenever I'm forced to confront the reality of my life for more than about 5 seconds, I start getting really upset. How long's this loading screen going to take? It's on an SSD, why is it taking so long? It's probably because... yeah, there we go. Apparently I'm disconnected from the server. Anyway, UH-1 supply. Okay, so it's already in the game as an American one, but this would be the German one. So it's not really a new unit, but they do like to pad it out a bit. So, and it includes a FOB. New units are highlighted in bold. Apparently a FOB is new. I mean, what? Also, they demanded that we call them FSBs. But yes, look, there's already a German FOB, so that's not new, but it's in bold. And the older and smaller, but new in Warno, MAN 630 L2A3 munition. So it's just a munitions truck, right? It's this thing. Great. Very good category, featuring the usual Panzergrenadier. What? New units are highlighted in bold and italic. None of these are new. Panzergrenadier, Marder 182, Marder 1... Oh, I see. New units are highlighted in bold and italic at the same time. So this is new. Oh, I've put something in a video that makes me look less than a genius. I'll just have to start the recording again. Hey, what's up, guy? So yeah, a bunch of stuff we've already seen, that's fair enough. And then they talk about Feldjäger Kubel, so a new military police car for the Germans, and a Feldjäger Fox. So that's great to see some more military police units. So those are actually new. We've only made it to the inf tab of the 1st Division. We've already got more new units than were in the whole of 4.1. Like, crazy. 4.1, man. I'm still mad. What a waste. Anyway, so then they talk about the Bundesmarine. So this is going to be pretty interesting, right? They've actually taken some creative risks. They've actually tried something new. And they said that even though it shouldn't be in here, they've put it in, which I completely agree with. We don't just want to be playing the same stuff over and over again. So we've got Strandmeister, which I believe is a drink. Beachmaster, and they're assault engineers with Resolute and Shock. So that should be pretty cool. Getting close and use the Uzis and the satchels. Although I'm not sure what the Uzi to G3 ratio is going to be, you know. And yeah, they look cool. And the Kampfschwimmers, which stands for gay swimmers. And then we've got Marine Zickerungs, which are like regular Zickerungs, but they've got Resolute, so that's pretty cool. So from, I mean, obviously the Zickerungs already in the game don't have machine guns. So, oh, what? Well, they didn't used to. Alright, well they do now. Okay, well, so they don't have AT, so that's an interesting option, right? Resolute, non-AT infantry is pretty cool. And then they talk about like German names, that's a Paladin, 155mm RT, Lars 2, Panzer mortar, and then they, yeah, 120mm mortars, 105mm, so a lot of RT, but they do say that they're going to have M107s, which is already in the game under, yeah, under the British. So it's interesting, so they've identified here that that this is not a new unit because the British already have it. But in the Logi tab, I suppose I'm reading too much into this. Oh no, I suppose they haven't. But then this isn't bold and italic, even though it's apparently new. Whatever, I just... They're just not sticking to it. It doesn't really matter. Anyway. So they talk about they don't have the Leopard 2, so it's going to be a medium tank division. They're just going to be spamming Leopard 1s, which are sort of light mediums, really. And so it says, furthermore, you know, all the variants. So it's the new Leopard 1A, 1A2, which unfortunately has the same stats as the 1A, 1A1. So that's really depressing, because they're going to add something new and they're going to give it the same stats as something else. Which is just a waste. Like, why not just give it that one extra armor? Or take one armor away? Or give the gun one more pen? You know, increase the fire rate slightly. There's a lot of increase the accuracy 5%. Why not? Why waste the opportunity? Why just make it the same? And the lesser but also new Leopard 1A, 2A1 with -1 front armor. So this is going to get a bit confusing, because now we've got the 1A, 1A1, the 1A, 1A2, and the 1A, 2A1. And the 1A, 1A1 and the 1A, 1A2 are the same, but the 1A, 2A1... Isn't there another one? There's the 1A5 as well, yeah. And then there's also Leopard 1BE, which is similar to some of these other ones, and oh man. Anyway, and then it's got Kanj PZ, Jaguar 1s, and Jaguar 2s. So I've heard a lot of people talk about this. They say, because obviously you're here to just get my take on it, right? So I'm not trying to drag it out. You can read this yourself if you want it fast. But basically, I've seen a lot of people saying this div isn't going to be viable because it doesn't have heavy tanks. You're basically on like last year's meta. You don't, like, in 1v1 especially, heavy tanks are something of a liability. You want a heavy medium, or just medium tank spam. The problem with the Leopard 1s is that, yes, they struggle to kill enemy heavy tanks, but it depends on the pen on their guns. So if we look at the Belgian ones, for example, the Belgian 1A5 can pretty reliably deal with enemy heavy tanks, in that you can buy 2 of these for 1 heavy tank and then you shoot him at max range and you win if you can micro. The problem with this one is that it's only got 16 pen, which, to be honest, this shouldn't be 110 points, it should be less. But then you've got, I don't know, there's something needs to be done here. Like, that one's got 1 more armor, oh, it's got less pen on the gun, whatever, oh, it's got more accuracy. Well, that's a fair enough comparison, but this one's a bit weird. Because what? Oh no, hang on. What? Is this comparison is a bit weird. So the Belgian one. No, hang on. It's got less on the gun. Oh, whatever. I suppose it's all right actually. This comparison's a bit weird because they're the same tank, but one of them's 10 points cheaper. And that's another thing. They could have made that one a bit different. Whatever. Anyway, so with these you can reliably fight. Heavy tanks generally at max range. You can shoot. You'll only deal 1 damage, but at least you can shoot him. Whereas this can't shoot. And so it depends on the pen on the guns. But basically, it looks like the German ones have. Well, no, that's only got 16. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, generally heavy tanks aren't that great in 1v1 anymore because it takes so long to buy them, and then a plane comes and kills them, or a helicopter, or they just get suppressed to death by ATGM spam, especially if you've got Jaguar 2s. So you'll be alright, you don't need heavy tanks. Recon, so it says, you know, most of its recon battalion will be leaving them, and so they're not racist, okay. And so they don't have that much recon, but then they talk about Heimatschützenaufklärer, which is pretty cool, and the Green Archer, which they've said is a new unit. They took this out of a different division. Oh no, it's still here, actually, what? So that's, but that's bolded italics, which means it's new, but it's not. It's right, I'm looking at it. Oh man. And then the CL-89 UAV, so that's pretty cool. It's a shame they haven't put a picture of that in. It looks like I'm going to have to look it up. Okay, so it's... oh, I see. It's the Canadian, Britain, and West German one. Hang on. Alright, I'm going to have a conversation with somebody about this. Pretty sure both UK armored should have this. I'm pretty sure it should. I'm gonna have to look it up. But I'm pretty sure both UK should have that. Anyway, I'm messing up. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. So then they talk about the new KSK combat divers. Who are like German Navy SEALs, 6-man special forces, inserted by way of the new Sea King helicopter. So that's pretty cool. KSK, of course, is already in the game under, you know, so that the East German KSK, which is going to be a different unit, right? East German KSK, and so now we'll get West German KSK. So that's pretty cool. They've got airborne deployment, so presumably they'll have it here. But who knows? I mean, it's worth pointing out that the East German FS Jaeger are better than the West German FS Jaeger, because they've got the Special Forces trait. They're also cheaper. I mean, obviously that rocket launcher is pretty juicy on the West German one. So Iltis KSK will be a recon Iltis Milan with the Special Forces trait, so this is way more important than you would think, because if it's got the airborne deployment, or even if it's got recon deployment, the Special Forces trait makes your unit 20% faster. So this thing is actually pretty potent, the Honkers. I've got a few games where I showed this off. Or you can just try it yourself. Basically, it says 100 down here, but the Special Forces trait makes you go about 20% faster. It doesn't say this anywhere. And so it's actually going at 120, which means you can get to places faster. But what that really means is that, so if you've got airborne forward deployed, you can really mess people up with something like this. Because it's got airborne deployed and it's got the Special Forces, so it gets to places, especially in 1v1, where everybody who's good knows where the units are going to get to at the start at the same time. You can get there before them and kill them. So that's actually very, very important. So we'll have to keep an eye, if it wins. We'll have to keep an eye out, yeah. So, and anyway, they've got a recon plane, so that's pretty cool. So not only do they have a UAV, but they've also got a recon plane. Recon planes in this game are a bit rubbish right now because they don't see as far as the UAV. But, you know, presumably by the time this comes out, that'll be fixed. Especially if I write it down. I need to write that down, actually. Make recon... Right. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, Gepard, Flieger, Faust, and Zwillinger. The classic combo. Okay. Gepard, Flieger, Faust, Eyehawk is the classic combo, but well, whatever. It looks like we're not getting Eyehawks. Instead, we're getting the Bofors L70 massive effing gun. Which is equipped with autoloaders. So basically, the Bofors L70s in this game are terrible and don't work properly. So you know, and like this is supposed to be a better version of that. I mean, it has more range. It really shouldn't be costing 45 points. Write that down as well. Force Dutch. Yeah, so the new wheeled Roland massive flipping gun. So it's a wheeled Roland. It's perhaps not as new as as the game is. This is also a wheeled Roland, but it's, you know, it's reservist. We don't know if it's going to be a Roland 2 or a Roland 3 gun, right? Or if it might just be a bespoke system. But there is something similar in the game. Presumably it won't have the reservist trait, but this thing is pretty effective. It's incredibly effective. It's basically 35 US's best unit. It's very, very good. The wheels mean that you can get it there fast, and you can reposition it fast as well, which means you can always have it near the front, right? Because it will just get there faster. Enemy heli comes in, you can get there pretty fast. It's very, very fast. You see, it's 100. Which is very fast, unlike something like well, what truck is this? I suppose it would be like an M35, right? Yes. So you see how the supply M35 is only 90, whereas the it does seem a bit different actually. It's like a bigger version. I don't know. No, it's just been moved backwards, I think. No, it's bigger. Weird. Oh, like the model scaling's off? I don't know. Anyway, you see the regular M35 transport only goes at 90, but this goes at 100. It is a very, very effective unit. Helis, so it just says you only get Bopars. But, I mean, they made a big deal about having the big Heeresfliegerkommando Zex. And, I mean, the airlift, so presumably, right, yeah, so, yeah, the Panzergrenadier M113 get access to the UH-1D. So, I mean, it would have been cool to have, like, obviously they shouldn't call them Panzergrenadier M113 if they're coming in helicopters, right? They should make a new squad. Just make one new squad. Give him one more guy, or one less guy. Give him 2 MG3s, you know, I don't know. Lots of things you could do there. So, air. Typical F4F fighter, so you've seen this in 5th Panzer. Used to be King of the Skies because it was like twice as cheap as everybody else's. These days it's actually not that amazing. 200 points is steep. And there's just like better stuff that's come out since then. But yeah, it still comes at... Oh, there's two per card as well. F-16 AA? Oh, that's only got 2 missiles as well. Okay. Well, between the two of them... Wow, the Dutch are just getting messed up. I think the F-16 does have a better turning circle, but the armament is exactly the same, as is the ECM, as is the speed. But I think the F-16 turning circle's better, so that probably explains it. The RF-40 were recon planes, but are going to be equipped with bombs. Cool. So there you go. They're trying new things. They're like, oh, in this scenario, we did things a bit differently. Great. Why not some more of that? Why was 4.1 so boring? But yeah, credit where credit's due. I like the idea, you know. Oh, there's actually a war. We're going to do some things differently because, you know, things happen in war. Great. Glad to hear it. So, Marine Fliegers, Geschwader... Naval Air Squadron, so they'll have Tornado Cluster and Tornado Seed with harms. So presumably this is going to be like the British one. Oh, it's got alarms. Whereas the harm is... No, that's the Shrike. The harm is the better one, which is on the F-16 Seed. Where are we? So it's just better than the Shrike. Sorry, it's just, well, it's obviously better than the Shrike. It's better than the Alarm. For some reason it deals like way more suppression as well. Hang on, why do these cost the same? One of them is clearly better than the other. Well, that third seed missile, I guess, but I'd rather have the missiles with the extra, what is that, 400 meters range, and the 5% accuracy on them, and the 5% accuracy on the seed missile, and the 100 more suppression on the seed missile, which means that Nemesis can still stun the target better. Although I suppose this tornado is very slightly faster. Whatever. They'll have more ECM than a regular tornado. So presumably they'll have 40%, like the tornado seed. The other thing was, yeah, okay, so they were saying the BL-755 bomb. So that... I mean... so they're going to be quite similar to existing assets, basically. Presumably, it'll be like this, but with 10% more ECM, and I don't know if it'll be the AIM-9 Ligma, or if it'll be one of the other ones. I mean, that's the AIM-9 Ligma, right, and we don't know how many bombs it'll carry and stuff like that. Bundesmarines would have reserve pilots to fly the F-104G in a bomber role. So these, you know, we've got some of these, but these will be like Marine ones, so presumably the loadouts will be a bit different or something. So yeah, it sounds like a pretty cool division. So it's not got Leopard 2s, but you don't really need those. It's gonna potentially have some pretty powerful forward deployed, even if it's only airborne. The Iltis KSK is gonna be pretty cool. I mean, it says it's in the recon tab, and it's going to have the UAVs, it's going to have, you know, special forces guys, it's going to have, yeah, it's going to have heavy arty. The only problem is it's not got Leopard 2s, which, you know, they are nice to have, and it doesn't have them. So, overall, a pretty good division. I appreciate I've been talking for quite a while here, I do apologise, but, you know, you don't have to watch it. So, Warsaw Pact 94Y Guard Motostrelki Division. So, you know, Motostrelki stands for motorized rifles, right? Everybody's a guard these days. I don't know any of non-guard regiments. I guess 119Y. So, yeah, it's Soviet, FOB, Urals, MTLBs. New supply carrier, great. I mean, I wish they'd just make some with some weapons on them, right? They decided to arm these ones. Why not? Why not have a supply that can't be captured because it's got a gun on it and it shoots you? Why not? But yeah, PTS-3 amphibious carrier. That's not new. That's not new. It's just this, right? I mean, unless, like, something about the 3 versus the M. Oh, it's obviously going to have a different flag on it. Not as new as you might think. Anyway, BTR-60s, BMP-1Ks, POTOC 2, based on the BMP, an unarmed command seat IFB based on the BMP-1. Okay, so that's new. That's something new, right? Nobody really cares about supply stuff anyway. Yeah, so 2 BTR and 1 BMP regiment, which means that there's going to be lots of Motostrelki variants, RPG-22, Metis, etc., and Pulmachiki, BTL-60s, BMP-1s, and a handful of BMP-2s, so maybe they'll only have like 2 BMP-2 cards or something. ATGMs, grenade launchers, very in vogue. Saperi, it's all in vogue. Metis, DSH Metis, wow, okay, so they're gonna have air... Okay, so that they're only going to be transportable in Mi-8s. So they're going to have airliftable Dush Metis, and I don't know about Dush RPG-22. I mean, is there any point in bringing that unit? Is that like the 14-man one? Oh, okay. Whoa, okay. So that's a lot more worth it now. Having the 14-man infantry squad in your line Russian brigade is pretty powerful because the Soviet Union in this game doesn't have powerful infantry in its heavy tank divisions, although we haven't got to the tanks yet. So yeah, Dush RPG-22 and Dush Metis is really going to help out. But they'll only be in helicopters. But so maybe you can do a heli rush at the start and lose, like with 6Y. So 120mm mortar, towed guns, Gvozdy, Karakatsia, Grads, of course. New unit, UR-67 mine clearing vehicle. So that's pretty cool, but it's only got one rail instead of two, so maybe it'll be cheaper. Basically, the American one, AVLN, this only fires one at once, and it actually is a lot weaker for the compared to what was it called? SPK50 BW. Once you get to the arty tab, I'll find it. No, my viewer retention, it's going down. Where is it? No, I can't find it. There it is. SPW. So why didn't it come up when I typed test? Whatever. So you see, even though they're stat clones, that one has a salvo length of 2. I don't know if it's supposed to be on purpose, but basically the AVLM is a lot worse for that reason. Obviously, the AVLM can survive a TOE2 hit, which is a pretty big deal, actually. But in terms of its killing potential, only shooting one at once is really annoying. So that's worth keeping in mind, that this is going to be quite weak. But maybe it'll be cheaper. Well, I mean, it should be. And so maybe you can bring 2 at once. So, another T-64 tank division. And they are going to have less T-64s. So, sorry, I mean, worse T-64s. So that's pretty cool. T-64A OBR. Yeah, so this is already in 25th, and it's a pretty interesting tank actually, because it's 150 points with 20 pen. So if you compare it to like the Chieftain, whatever. So I mean, obviously 50 points is a lot more, but it's just way better. It's way better. You compare it to this, you see that the T-64A is really good for its price. It's really effective for its price. The Chieftain Mark 9 is not. They've got the same pen at the same range, simply because the Chieftain Mark 9's got 1 pip more range and it does have more accuracy, but having 10 RPM on an autoloader on a 150 point tank is a pretty big deal. So yeah, the T-64A is incredibly good. You can get a few out at the start on 25th, and you can really get things going with that, because you also get quite high availability, 853, whereas if you compare it to a Chieftain, for example, and it might be the same actually, 853, yeah it is, whereas this is like 642. I don't know, Chieftain Mark 9 is probably a bit expensive, to tell you the truth. But yeah, it's a cool tank. I do like the T-64A, and then we've got the T-64A OBR-81, which has less armor, so will presumably be even cheaper. Then the OBR-84, which will have better range. And then the OBR-84 with ERA, and then the already existing T-64B. So that's pretty cool. New units, like actually new units. Obviously they're on the same chassis, but they are new. They've got new stats. And the MT-12R Router. It's an okay, so it's an anti-tank gun with radar guidance. I wonder if seed missiles will be able to hit it. We'll see. I mean, I don't understand what it means by increased range and accuracy, given that, like, the only reason you get the MTLB is the MTLB repair or whatever is so you can MT-12. It is so you can shoot anti-tank missiles at people. You don't use the gun. Although if this goes 2,100 meters and this has increased range and improved accuracy, it's going to shoot as far as it's going to be a max tank gun range weapon, which is pretty cool because so that's the main issue with like the Sprut, for example. It doesn't shoot. It's got a really nice pen, but it just doesn't shoot that far. So it's difficult to bring. There's very few situations where, because you know, if you're an anti-tank gun, you want to be shooting from far away. So yeah, interesting. We'll have to look at the stats, but that sounds like a good one. So Recon, BADRM2s, BRM1K. Okay, so what's K about it? What's K about it? Presumably not a command tank. MI2 Recon Helos, Razvedka, Razvedka Saperi, Motorized Razvedka, Razvedka BMP-1s, the Juke, an amphibious engineering BMP. It'll be a recon transport for a new recon engineer squad. So there you go, and actually a new infantry unit in the recon tab as well. R330 Tartan and a recon MTLLB. Is that? Don't tell me that's what they're actually called. I've just been saying it wrong the whole time. No, MTLB. So Sigyn and the MI8 Tark, which is an MI8 with guns on it. And another UAV, the Reese, the Rays, whatever. Yeah, so AA, standard AA stuff, no Cubs, so that's interesting. Finally, a mainline Soviet division without Cubs. Although I suppose 119Y doesn't have them. And it says no helicopters. So it's basically going to be a T-64 Swarm division, backed up by like pretty good recon. So it's probably going to play quite similarly to 25th, which is you know, you don't get you'll probably get more infantry than you do in 25th, and you'll probably get less T-64s than you do in 25th, and your T-64s seem to be a bit worse, although it still said you still get one card of T-64B1s and T-64Bs, which are you know, decent. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting actually. I mean, the fact that you're only going to have one card of max range tanks, right? Yeah, interesting. So air, MiG-29s, Su-17s. Yeah. So what are my thoughts? I've read it a couple times now. I've spoken about. It's definitely better than 4.1. It's definitely better than 4.1. If this one wins, I wouldn't be upset. I do think it is a little bit uninspired compared to what we've already got. So, I've had a lot of conversations with people about this. If you look at the previous Nemesis, right, there's only been 2 successful ones so far. Nemesis 3 hasn't come out, but we don't even know what it is, but we're voting on Nemesis 4, which is a bit weird. But anyway, Nemesis 1 Air Assault, 101st US Airborne, and the 56Y. Like, both of these divs play like nothing else in the game. They're really cool. They play completely differently, and they're both favourites. 56Y because it's broken as anything right now, and 101st because Americans play it even though it's not that good. They're both really popular. Then you go to Nemesis 2, which had Plateau d'Albion, so we even got a map out of this, and they added a French Reserve Division, which is very unique. It's still a bit weak, but it is very unique. And 76Y, which is really unique as well. It's got a lot of new stuff in it. And I can't help but feel like there's way more new units in this and in Nemesis 1 than there is in this option, 4.2. So both of these options, like, I mean, Nemesis 4.1 is honestly terrible. Nemesis 4.2, I wouldn't be upset if it passed. It looks reasonably interesting, but it's you know, it's not incredible. So hopefully Nemesis 4.3 blows our socks off. Like I said, if this one wins, I wouldn't mind too much. It's got some cool new stuff. It's just yeah, if you please don't vote 4.1.